Yes, people, 7 o'clock Wednesday, so you know it's another edition of the Man Them Chat. We're there tonight. We have a very special guest in the house. We've got Mr. Andrew Murrell from the Macmillan Luton Cancer Engagement Project. Yeah, today he's going to be discussing cancer services and support available in the local area for the Black community. So yeah, welcome to Man Them Chat, Andrew.
Thank you very much, guys, and really appreciate it. And I'll do a quick introduction. I said Andrew Murrell, the project manager for, as Mark said, the Macmillan. It's a long title, Macmillan Luton Cancer Engagement and Co-Production Project. And I manage the Macmillan Luton Cancer Connectors, one of which is with us today, which is Jennifer Macmillan. And no, that's not why we hired her, because her name is Macmillan, but yes, but Jennifer is our cancer connector for the Black African / Black Caribbean community. And so I'll just hand over to her to do an introduction, because she's only with us briefly this evening. So over to you, Jennifer.
Evening all, thanks for having me. I basically wanted to introduce myself to the group. I joined the team last week, and my role is to connect with the Afro-Caribbean community, to connect to understand the Black community's experience of cancer, whether that's cancer that you're going through, that you've been through, or the experience that you've had through friends or family. It's important for us to share and understand our experience so that we can improve the experience that we have and to help to improve outcomes. And it's also about understanding cancer and, you know, what we can do as a community to support ourselves as well, and encourage the services to support us in the way that we need to be supported. So what I want to do is to capture some of your experiences, to understand and to create a map of that information that we can pass on to improve outcomes for us as a community. I don't know if anybody's got any questions or if they want to add anything to that. You know, all of us, I think, know of somebody who has had cancer or has been affected by cancer. And I think it's important for us as a community to record those experiences. You've all gone very somber.
Don't worry, I'll liven it back up in a minute. Don't worry. But yeah, just to say, we're going to do a little presentation now, and there will be opportunity to ask questions. Jennifer might have to dash off just before the end, because she's off to do something really healthy and fun. So yeah, if there are any questions that you want to feed through to Jennifer, you can speak to me, because Jennifer and I, you know, we meet, you know, regularly, so I can feed those back through to Jennifer, and yeah, we can get those actions, so that's not a problem. Okay.
So this won't be my last meeting. I will be coming back to meet with you all again. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. You wanted to?
No, absolutely. Yeah, as I said, you know, as we'll explain in a little while, you'll see how Jennifer will want to kind of tap into groups such as this, and you know, kind of get experiences and feedback, and listening to groups such as this, and seeing how, as she said, you know, improve services for our community. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. So yes, as I said, I'll just jump into my presentation and kind of explain a bit more about the team, about the project, and about what we're going to be doing over the next couple of years, and how groups such as this can get involved, and the potential for, or you know, making this this project fruitful, so to speak. Yeah, so I'm just going to share my screen. Everyone see that?
Yep.
Yeah. I can't see you guys for the next couple of minutes, so yeah, you just have to give me a nod here and there if needs be. But yeah, so as I said, this is the, and you can see the long title there. So Macmillan, as in the group Macmillan, the charity Macmillan Cancer Support, and Luton, as in Luton Borough Council, and it's a cancer engagement and co-production project, and we are working with Jennifer, as we said there, and I've got two other community connectors. I'll explain that again in a little while. And you can just see some of our partners there at the bottom, but again, I'll go through that as we go along. So just kind of explaining how and why this team was formed. And this project was born out of a larger project, which was created by we call it BLMK, which is Bedfordshire, Luton and Milton Keynes Commissioning Board. And as you can see there, they identified a need for an increase in engagement with the Luton community, to identify the barriers that were preventing these communities from accessing or receiving cancer services, or in relation to other communities within Luton. So there wasn't a team in place that could kind of look at this. So that's how our team kind of came about. Now, even though there wasn't a team in place, it's surprising because Luton, compared to other, these are some national figures and Bedfordshire figures, Luton has, as you can see there, low 2-week referral. That 2WW stands for 2-week waiting referral rates. And what that is if, for example, you went to your GP with an issue, and that issue was discovered to be something that needed.
Hold on, sorry, what WW?
The first line there, historically low 2WW.
Historic. No, we can't find that. We're on how the team was formed.
Are you not seeing the next?
No, yeah, no, we haven't moved on.
Oh, sorry, I've just moved on to the next. Hold on, why is it not doing? Oh, wait, hold on, sorry guys, hold on.
Yep, there we are.
Sorry guys, yeah, okay, yeah. So yes, so that first line there, 2-week, historically low 2WW. So the 2WW stands for 2-week waiting referral. So as I was saying, if you went to your GP and an issue was found to be quite needed urgent attention, then you'd go on what they call a 2-week waiting referral list, which means you'd kind of jump the list because you need attention. And Luton's has low rates, even though we have a higher cancer rate than other areas in Bedfordshire, and against kind of national averages as well. Luton also present higher average emergency rates. And as you can see there, that third one, Luton has lower than average 1-year survival rates compared to other commissioning groups that are part of the Mount Vernon Cancer Centre, which is in Watford.
Right.
So out of that cancer, which again kind of covers Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire, Luton has the lower than average survival rates out of all those areas that go to that cancer centre there. And we also have a low screening uptake in the Bedfordshire, Luton and Milton Keynes area. So even though Luton residents are showing higher or presenting higher cancer rates, we're still having low referrals, low submissions, and still having lower than average survival rates. So this is the issue that we're kind of facing. So out of that, this project found that we had to kind of look at what were the contributing factors to these poor outcomes that Luton are experiencing. Yeah, and the project created 4 work streams, and the work stream that I'm looking at, or I'm kind of managing, is this work stream here, which is work stream 4, which is patient engagement, experience and surveys. And that is where we're going to start reaching out to you groups and trying to get an idea of what where you are with your cancer experience. And this is right from prevention through to screening, through to early diagnosis, right through the treatment, post-treatment, and beyond. So we want to see the whole spectrum of cancer experience, whether you're going through it or someone else is going through it, or whether you haven't gone through it yet, but you know, what are you aware of, what you know about the kind of the cancer journey and the cancer services that are available to Luton residents. Yeah. This is just a graph that shows, this is created by the government, and this is the national government, not the Luton government, and it's an index of deprivation. And when we talk about deprivation, we don't mean deprivation in its rawest sense, but we're talking about areas that might be considered where more people are on kind of lower incomes and the like. So we would know of those areas that we have in Luton. And what this figure is kind of showing in a sense is that what has been found is that those who are in those lower income / higher deprivation areas are still the people that are diagnosed the latest or are referred to the latest. So you can see where there's an issue there. So you're in a high deprivation area to start with, and also you're also facing kind of later diagnosis. So as the figure shows there, you're likely to be diagnosed at stage 3 or 4, which, as you may know, is not a good place to be. That's when you're in a bad place. So again, we have to kind of look at why is it that these areas are getting these kind of late referrals, and kind of late diagnosis as well. So that's how the Cancer Connectors came about. You met Jennifer there briefly. And when it comes to connectors, we kind of looked at what would be the long-term need for the connectors. What do we need them to try and achieve over the course of this project? And as Jennifer kind of mentioned there, the idea is to kind of build trust and connections and speak to groups such as this or any other kind of community groups that we kind of engage with, and find out what the experiences are, and how we can go about either creating new specific services or co-designing services together. So this is about working together and kind of creating these services or putting them in place, or changing services that are currently in place to make them more suited for this community. And it's not just about kind of negative stuff as well. If there are good services or there's something out there that we can kind of make sure stays in place or that we can kind of build upon, then yes, we want to hear both sides of it, both positive, negative, and neutral. Or if it's not in place yet, then how can we go about kind of designing it? Yeah, so this is how we fit in regards to where we kind of sit at the moment. So we sit under Luton Council in public health, and under that we sit in the health inequality. That's quite an important word there, inequalities. The equality.
Say that again, because you cut out quick.
Okay, so yes, I said we sit under public health inequalities and communities. And I was saying that inequalities is quite an important word there, because in regards to, we're looking at why certain communities aren't receiving the same services as others in Luton. And from that, that's how this project and these and the connectors kind of came about. So the connectors will be focusing on three communities for this project. You met Jennifer just now, who is the connector for the Black African, Black Caribbean community. We have a connector for the South Asian community, Anjuman Qureshi. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here with us today. And we've just had a recruitment for the Eastern European community, and someone was successful. So we're just kind of getting contracts signed and putting, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. So we should have an Eastern European connector within the next couple of weeks. And again, if the question kind of comes about why we are focusing on these three communities, as again, the outcome report showed that these three communities are the ones that are kind of affected the most when it comes to inequalities in regards to kind of cancer services. So that's why we're kind of focusing on these three communities for this particular project. This is just some of our objectives, some of what we hope to achieve over the next couple of years. And I won't go through all of them there. I mean, you can see some of them, but I mean, if we look at those top two there, that first one, top left, ensuring the voices of the local community are heard and ensure that the feedback loop is closed. So what we are saying there is that we want to make sure that we are hearing the community, but also making sure that we're not just kind of paying lip service, that we kind of feed back to you. So that's what Jennifer was saying about, want to come back and speak to a group such as this on a regular basis, to ensure that that we are actioning what we speak about, but also that we are actioning what you have told us needs to be actioned. So my main objective for this project is that it should be very much kind of resident and community led. We are there to hear the information, to gather it, to put it together, and then take it back to our respective stakeholders, feed it back to them, and then put things in place. But it's very much going to be what you have told us, and that's what Jennifer was saying about listening. We don't just want to listen, but we want to put through what the community and what groups like this have said. So if you look at the top right one there, that's what that's about: building good relationships, partnerships, and and that is very important there, a consistent communication. So what we're saying there, this is an opportunity for you to kind of get involved from ground level. This is a new project. It's a blank page. We're filling it as we go along, and this is an opportunity to kind of get involved from the ground floor and really get involved in this project and produce the outcomes that you feel we really need for your community. These are just some more of our objectives, and again, won't go through it word by word, but if you look at the one on the left, where we're talking about provide a wider variety and less traditional opportunities to share experiences. So again, this is where we want feedback and ideas and suggestions. Why projects like this may have failed before. We find because it's the same old thing. Are we holding our meetings or events in places that these communities will come to? Are we going to the right communities? Should we be, on platforms such as this? Is this, this might be less traditional, platform, so do we need to let more Black men know about, Man's Dem Chat and have our listening events on this platform, and other avenues and venues that people might not think of in the first instance. So again, this is what we need to be kind of hear from you. You know, oh, Andrew, think about why not have a venue there? You would get a large audience there if you held it in your local barber shop. Do you know what I mean? Because you'll get a group of interactive Black males in that environment. So should we hold a listening event in there? Just think outside the box as to how we can reach a wider audience in the best possible way. Yeah. So this is just some of the tools that we want to put in place. I mean, there'll be others. You see on the left there, the Experience Hub. That's going to be like a digital platform that we're going to build, where people could, if they don't want to come to a live event or they don't want to speak to someone in person, they can go onto this digital platform and leave their views and feedback on that platform. But very much so, we want to kind of host listening events, forums, for members of the public and residents and community groups to kind of, we get together and, you tell us, your experiences, we ask some questions and you give us feedback and we build our reports that way. So yeah, just emphasizing what I've just said there. We want to hear what residents need. We want to hear what the communities need so that we can improve cancer services. We all know that money is tight for persons and for groups as well. So we want to make sure that we use our resources efficiently. And we want to make sure that we tap into the core of our customers' needs. We don't want this project to just be something that it kind of blows into the ether at the end of it. We want to make sure that we are hitting targets and that we are doing something effective over the next couple of years. So where do you come in? Well, you can see that the potential groups there. These are who we want to speak to. This is what we want to hear from. Community leaders, community groups. We want to build potential working partnerships, work with local businesses, organizations and the like. We want to utilize our media outlets such as this. A perfect example, use these kind of platforms. We want to get into the radio stations, any other kind of public outlets that you think might be a good avenue for us to kind of tap into, and lived experience, very much so, the lived experience, with people who are happy to kind of share their experience, and whether that be someone directly or indirectly affected, or whether someone who again, just has some ideas or input into, the kind of the cancer journey. We want to hear from as well. Community champions. We're going to build a directory of community champions, and as you can see there, those are community leaders. And when we say leaders, we don't necessarily mean that you have to be like a faith leader or manager, or people who are leaders in the community in whatever aspect, or active members of the respective communities, who want to work with us and support this project. And what we plan to do is, when we've kind of built up this directory, we will give some training for those champions. And it won't be anything, we're not going to take anyone out of their normal routine. It will just be training so that you have an idea of how to hold, because if you think about cancer, it's a sensitive conversation, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, so just some training as to how to, hold those sensitive conversations when someone recognizes you as a champion and they want to speak to you, how to hold that sensitive conversation while at the same time kind of extracting the information that we need. And then those champions will kind of feed back to like myself and Jennifer and the other connectors. And again, we'll take that information and put it in report and try and get things in place there. So as I said, the champions will be trained and supported to perform as listening hubs, where preferred, because what we're saying there is if someone, might not be entirely comfortable speaking to myself or speaking to Jennifer, but they might want to speak to their faith leader, or they might want to speak to their barber, or they might want to come on this platform and speak more freely then. So if we have a champion that's part of this group, then that champion would then kind of feed back to us what their findings and their outcomes. So again, this is what I mean about there's an opportunity to get involved in a really kind of interactive way and really be a part of making change, and without sounding too dramatic, setting a legacy for how cancer services are going to run going forward for the Black African, Black Caribbean community. And then this is just some of the partners, as you saw there, some of the partners that we're working with. So you can see there the hospitals, there's Cancer Alliances, there's Health Watch, but we are working with so many different partners. We're working with faith leader groups. I know you've had some of the pastors, Pastor Adams, Pastor Denny, and the like on this platform before. We're working very closely with those sort of groups as well. So there's a lot of partnership going on, a lot of bosses that I have to answer to. So, yeah, but in essence, very supportive. So everyone that you see on there, everyone that I've mentioned in the last kind of couple of seconds, very supportive to kind of get things up and running and get something in place and effectively for this community. So that's the presentation. I'll leave the floor open now to any questions and yeah, any kind of debate and discussion that you might want to have based on that. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a nice presentation. Can I just ask, is this just happening in Luton then, or is this going across?
Yeah, so I mean, there are other cancer engagement projects, but this one is specific to Luton. Now, as I said there, as I just showed there, we do have partnerships. So there will be collaborations, with say Bedford, and there would be collaboration with Milton Keynes, and we might have some connections in like kind of Hertfordshire or like, but in regards to the outcomes and the results, yeah, we're focusing on those communities within Luton to start off with, and then as successful as I hope it would be, then this could be a model that other areas could use as well.
Right, so you're pioneering.
Yeah, essentially, as I said, it's obviously that there've been other cancer projects before in other areas with Luton, but in regards to what I've just kind of explained, this is new. So when I came in September, it was the first time that this had been done in Luton, specific to those communities and specific to this kind of project. So as I said, I literally came in with a blank piece of, when I say a blank piece of paper, it was literally a blank piece of paper, so
you're
that's
project manager.
And I'm the project manager, yeah, I'm the project manager. So
yeah,
Jennifer will feeds back to me, and so I kind of put everything together, and then Jennifer and the like kind of goes out and engages with the actual kind of community.
Right. Can I ask a question, Andrew?
Yeah.
So this service that is just started now, which is targeting, I'm assuming like as you say, the African and the Caribbean community, yeah? Is that what it's about, or is it for anybody? It's for the African Caribbean community. So does that mean that this service is already available for other races, non-ethnics, like, the white race? And
yeah, no. That's not what. Sorry, yeah. I mean, let me try and kind of break it down. So what we're saying is that if you are diagnosed with with cancer, or you would go to L&D just like anyone else. Just an example, yeah, you'd go to L&D just like anyone else. But what we are finding is that when it comes to awareness of cancer services, or at any point along the cancer journey, from prevention right through to treatment, it was found that the communities that I mentioned there were not either engaging or having the same kind of outcomes as other communities, and not for any reason, and not saying that, door shut in your face sort of thing, you know what I mean? It's just that something. I mean, if you think about, for example, if you think about the Eastern European community, you could think about some of the issues that they face where English is not your first language. Even some of the South Asian. Now, Black Africa, Black Caribbean, that might not be the particular issue, but for Black African, Black Caribbean, it might be a case of, is there, are we not engaging because there's taboo? Is it, is it a cultural thing? You know what I mean? So that's what we're kind of trying to have. So we're not saying that, the door is shut in kind of a Black person's face, nothing like that. But there is something there where we're not kind of engaging in the same way that other kind of communities do. And as I said, with like we said, like South Asian community, it could be English is not the first language. It could be a cultural thing. It could be, cancer is still a kind of a taboo. For Eastern European, it could be, English is not the first language. So yeah, that's what we're trying to kind of decipher. What are the barriers that are preventing us from getting, engaged in the same way that everyone else does?
Yeah, sorry, Skip. One more, and then I'll pass it on. So you said you've noticed, or it's been noticed that the statistics for Luton, people with cancer in Luton, is high.
Yeah.
Do you know the percentage of Black Caribbeans and Black Africans, the percentage of them out of the Luton?
That is what I mean. I chair a steering group with those, those partners that I showed at the end. So they're like my stakeholders. So I chair a meeting with them to kind of get support and advice because they're a bit more kind of experienced. So, and one of the things that I'm meeting with them actually next Tuesday, and our main topic of discussion is going to be data research, because that's what I want to find out.
Yes.
Do we need to start kind of breaking down the data that we've got even more so? So that's something that I've got on my agenda. That's our main topic of discussion next week, because I want to find out if I need to start, if I need to start kind of breaking down data even more so that I can answer questions like that, So that's something that I'm kind of looking into at the moment. So I met with someone last week, and she is part of that BLMK commissioning board, but she focuses on data.
Sorry, could you just say what BLMK stands for?
Sorry. BLMK stands for Bedfordshire, Luton and Milton Keynes. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've met with her last week, and we're meeting next week to kind of start looking at how we can start extracting some more specific data, because even when I talk about Eastern European, do I need to kind of extract that down to Polish and Romanian and you know what I mean? So or are we happy to just go with Eastern European?
Yeah, because when you said about the cure rate is low, then obviously you'd want to know in which area, which group of people, which race of people is it as well?
Yeah,
has the lowest cure. You understand?
To
know if to the amount of Black people getting cancer, if it's low in obviously our area, in our community, that is a problem. Obviously you don't want no one getting cancer, but we're obviously a minority here. You understand? So
but our averages, again, like Jennifer said, if you think about, Sorry, I've got a little person here. Sorry, darling.
No,
Come here,
no,
mum.
no.
Shout.
More like for the youth.
Grab
Then.
this little person, please. Sorry, that's my little person there. Yeah. So, sorry. So yeah. So when it comes to that particular area, we want to know why, even though we have, as you said, are a lower number of people, that we still have the higher rates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like Jennifer said there, you know, when you think about things like prostate, and I know you had someone on a few weeks ago with prostate, you know, and you saw the figures there, you know, national figures 1 in 8. But when it comes to black people, it's 1 in 4. When it comes to black men, sorry, 1 in 4. Do you know what I mean? So we have to kind of look at that, and this is what we need to start speaking to you group. Do we need to form, well, and that's something you know, I'll be speaking to you guys about, because we do need to form something like a prostate support group where we can kind of start tackling that. And again, you know, and I'll emphasize this again, this is an opportunity, you know, I can't kind of stress that enough. This is an opportunity to kind of, you know, put something in place that we can take forward for the communities. You know, when I move on to another project, you know, when yourselves move on to other projects, you know, when I know Man's Chat will be, you know, here for years and years and years now, you know what I mean? But, you know, put something in place so that when that generation behind us come along, that we've put something in place for them without it kind of, you know, starting over again. You know, I don't want to work in that kind of political cycle where, you know, this is something that's been put in place by a politician that's only 5 years long, and then, you know, the next one kind of comes in and they start again. You know, let's put something in place now that, okay, it's there, and whoever comes and takes it, they just, you know, we just pass the baton on.
All right.
Yeah, no problem. Any more questions?
Yeah. Can I ask you a question before I bring in Blacks?
Sure.
So it's about what you're working with is about access to the services, then, not necessarily treatments.
The whole spectrum. The whole spectrum. So right from prevention, right through to the whole spectrum, treatment, from diagnosis, treatment, post-treatment, you know, after treatment care, the whole spectrum.
So do they look into the holistic side of it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Again, and this is what Jennifer would want to speak to you guys and kind of hear about. So if does holistic treatment need to be more in place, does it need to be kind of more emphasized? You know, do we need to kind of research it more and get more things in place? Do you know what I mean? This is what we kind of need to feedback, because, you know, we're an open vessel at the moment, and we are listening at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So you tell us, you know, we take back, well, this is the community that we spoke to. This is what the community kind of said to us. This is what they want us to kind of look into.
Yeah, because we're talking of like diet and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we have something in place that we can kind of support that? And it might, from that, a project might come out of it. You know, I might come back to you guys and say, okay, here you go. You know, we spoke about the holistic side of it and putting something holistically in place, looking at nutrition. You know, this is our findings. This is what we've got to kind of support that. You know, we've been given a grant to kind of support that, you know, and you know, you guys can run with it and let us know what your findings.
Okay.
So that's what I mean about it being very kind of resident led. You know what I mean? If you have an idea, or if you have something in place, or you have a group that you think you could kind of work with, you know, you let us know. And there are some facilities in place where we might be able to support you in that aspect.
Okay.
You know, and you just kind of feed back to us. So it doesn't have to be kind of led by me. Everything doesn't have to be kind of led by me, you know, but as long as it's fed back to me, then yeah, that's what I'll do. That's how I can support it as well.
Right. Okay. Blaps, you had a question?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Andrew,
Yes.
thanks for coming in and talking about this. This is good. The screen
feedback on yours.
I think there's going to be a bit of controversy in what I say in a minute, but when it comes down to cancer and our community, that taboo that you kept bringing up is a bigger thing than anything else, because this connection between religion and cancer is a deep one, because the religious leaders know that they're the last port of call before death. So arranging funerals, and so obviously they are next to the hospitals arranging funerals for their community, right? So therefore that taboo thing, whereas if I'm in connection with religion, I may have a chance of beating this cancer, whereas if I'm not in religion, I'm not going to have any chance of beating the cancer. And it may be even further than that, to say that if I even go to the cancer people to get screened, I might get contact cancer. You know what I mean? It's really in the mind of people. What I'm interested in, because obviously I've had people in my family die of cancer. I would rather know how we contract cancer faster than any other. Why do we contract as a people prostate cancer faster, more than any other racial group? If you're going to say race is a factor, which I don't think it is. I don't think cancer cares, right? What I'm saying is that if you're going to, the question is I would rather have more information about how to prevent any cancer in my family, rather than where I can go to when I've got it. It's like it's especially if it's hereditary. Like if someone in your family has had cancer, this is what happened in my case, in my family, is that my cousin, died at 32 years old, a man, right? He had a wife and daughter. So the daughter, at 31 years old, right? It just blew up literally like in a month or so, he was dead. And then, so the daughter grew up. She was about 15 at the time. She grew up, and then when she got to around 30 years old, she got screened to make sure. Found that she had the same thing, but they caught it early. 1 year later, so in that year, she was doing all kinds of different things, running about, and dressed in pink with the pink bow, and all that kind of stuff to raise funds for the cancer awareness and stuff. And because they were very prevalent in the community, it brought a lot of optics to cancer, and was all aware, blah blah blah. It was breast cancer. She died at 32 years old. Okay. So now, from that, and the amount of people that went to a funeral, which were hundreds and hundreds of people, because her mother was part of the whole school board in the whole region of Lincolnshire. And so there was thousands of people that couldn't go to the funeral because it was too chucker. And it was recorded on local TV and everything, because they're really right. So now what I'm saying is that they got all that, but what afterwards, my feeling was, well, what caused the cancer? What caused her to get it? Why couldn't she fight it, even though she caught it early? What can we do to stop getting this stuff? What foods are Black people eating? Where are we going on our holidays that make us contract prostate cancer faster, or in her case, breast cancer faster, if it's hereditary, what can we do to prevent that? If we know it's in our DNA that we might get it, there's certain things out there that make you get it faster if you do it. Like if you smoke more, then you're definitely going to get it, because it's hereditary in your family. If you eat certain foods, processed maybe, or carcinogenic foods, or deep fried foods, and you've got stomach cancer in your past, in your family, you're most likely to get it. You see what I'm saying? We need more optics in that region, as far as I'm concerned. What's being done to do that?
And that's exactly what thank you for that. And that's exactly what the project is about. We need to hear what awareness does this community, how can we reach the, is awareness about prevention? Is awareness about, seeing, noticing symptoms? Is awareness about, going to the GP and finding out, we need to know what is the best way to engage with our community that will make them kind of respond at whatever stage, whether it be prevention stage or whether it be awareness stage, what is the best conversation to have, and the best place to have it, and the best kind of people to kind of speak to. So it might not be me, it might be yourself, perhaps. You know what I mean? I give you the information, you go to your respective group, and you kind of feed it back to them. You get that information. This is what we need to know, because it's what we have found, and what this project is about is we know that it can't be a one size fits all, because what might be suitable for a group of Black men might not suit a group of South Asian women, might not suit a group of Eastern European men. So, how do we tailor it so that it suits the communities that we're trying to engage with, and what does each group need to hear to get things, going and more active. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks for that. Garvin, you had a question?
No question really. Just a bit of sharing really.
Oh, well, that's all good. Go and share, brother.
Yeah. No. Listening about the statistics that was given in terms of Luton. I'm not sure if it's a similar situation with Bedford, but what I can say, I can talk about my personal experience. In terms of my journey, my personal experience was excellent, I should think, because as soon as I went to the GP and there was a suspicion that was the case, then definitely within the 2 weeks the ball was rolling, and it was appointment after appointment. So in my case, the journey, I'm still going through the journey actually, because at the moment I'm in the middle of treatment. I had surgery previously, but like most of us Black men, we don't take health too seriously. And by the time mine was actually picked up, it was about stage 3. So with quicker investigation in terms of me going forward quicker, it would have led to it being picked up quicker. But that's by the by. But another reason why, as Black men, we should look at our health and do those checks as well regularly. So at the moment I'm in the middle of radiotherapy, and I must admit at times I'm knackered.
Yeah.
But it's all good. Only 9 to go, so I'm getting there. And I must say the services from Bedford is excellent, because the cancer services from Bedford are being carried out in Luton, but I'm being picked up at home every day and taken to Cambridge and brought back home by the Macmillan, by the Primrose Car Unit.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I'm really appreciate that service. It's a godsend.
That's
so
good.
I must say, in terms of Bedford, in terms of my experience, it was a pleasant experience. And even with regards to the radiotherapy, my thing was picked up quickly, because they advised me that some cells had escaped and I would need treatment in the future. And through the monitoring, as soon as they saw 2 consecutive rises in the PSA level, they referred me straight on to the radiotherapy. And actually, according to them, it didn't get to the point at which they would normally refer, but because it was 2 consecutive one in a reasonably quick time, they did the referral, and I'm quite thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing, Garvin. And
Yeah.
you know, those are exactly the experiences that myself and Jennifer would want to hear. And if that's something that you would, you know, or anyone would be kind of willing to share, these experiences that we kind of need to hear. And you know, as I said, it's not just about kind of negative issues, but if you have something that's positive. So if you're talking about that experience that you know, what you experienced in Bedford, you know, is that a model that we should be taking and you know, using in Luton when you talk about the transport and the like, you know, that's the sort of model that we should be taking, and that's the sort of thing that I would, you know, hear that from someone like yourself, Garvin, and feed back to our stakeholders. Okay, well, look, this is, you know, what worked for Garvin. You know, do we need to put this in place for Luton residents? I probably should have said, you know, as a caveat to that, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about, Garvin. I myself am living with cancer. I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma in 2015. So I've been living with it for, what's that now?
Yeah.
This month was 8 years. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago, 5th of May. You never forget when you're diagnosed. You never forget when you're diagnosed. I'm sure you know.
That's the first time you're sharing that. That's the first time you're actually sharing that with us, Andrew, isn't it? And you've been on it a few times, bro.
I know, but yeah, I mean, and because it's something that I dealt with it as best as I could on the day, you know, and obviously, and Garvin might be able to kind of, or anyone else, you know, and anyone else who's kind of gone through would know, you know, when you're told what you've got, then it's a multiple myeloma. I don't know if you guys remember Felix Dexter, the comedian Felix Dexter. Yeah, he used to be on Blouse and Skirt and all of that.
Oh yeah.
Felix Dexter, yeah. But that's the same thing that Felix Dexter passed away from. So it's non-curative, so I'll always kind of have it, but it's manageable and treatable. But yeah, when you're done,
what area of the body does that?
I was about to say that. Can you tell us?
Mine is all over. Yeah, so I've got myeloma sites. There's some in my head. There's some in my back. I mean, my back got affected the most. There's some in my so it's because it's myeloma is blood plasma and bone marrow. So it could be, you know, it could be anywhere. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I still have sites. So when I go and have my MRIs and CT scans, you know, and they show me, you can still see sites in my body, like even in my head, but they're dormant. Do you know what I mean? So so we treat it, you know, we kind of keep them dormant. But yeah, it's you know, it could be anywhere in my body.
Have you ever checked your pH level of your body?
Yeah, all of that's been, I've gone through, you know, I went through 27 months of chemo and treatment, 27 months of chemo and treatment at certain stages, whether it was, you know, the chemo stage, the radiotherapy stage, the maintenance phase. Yeah, I went through 27 months, and obviously because it's still there, it's always there. I still have to kind of check in and have blood tests and that sort of thing. But yeah,
does it affect your day-to-day movements and doing?
Well, no, I mean, obviously I have to be a bit more sensible because it damaged my back was the most damaged. One of my vertebrae collapsed completely, and another one collapsed partially. So I lost an inch in height. I mean, if I show you my wedding pictures with my brothers, you know, you'll see that you might think, oh, well, you're the shortest one of the bunch. Well, I used to be as tall as my little brother, but in the picture you can see that I'm slightly shorter than him because I lost my vertebrae collapsed completely. So I physically lost an inch in height, almost an inch in height.
That sounds painful still.
Yeah, so they had to do surgery to kind of they put like a little balloon thing into your spine and then kind of blow it up to kind of build the vertebrae back up. So yeah, I've been through, you know, I could tell you, I've been through the mill, you know what I mean? So but I said after that diagnosis, I thought about, you know, how could I be a bit more interactive in my own treatment and going forward. So this project for me, as much as it's about, you know, me being a project manager, I do have a vested interest
Close to heart.
It's close to heart, and not wanting to see other Black people kind of go through that, and what we can do to kind of, you know, kind of support and kind of help with that. That's what the project's about.
Okay, anybody else with any more questions?
But funny enough, I've been going to Cambridge for the last 3 weeks, and I've only seen one other Black brother that come there since, you know.
Yeah. So how you know, if we are, and that's the thing, Garvin. If, like I said, I mean, you had was it Steve Geddle that came on and talked about prostate cancer a few weeks ago?
Yeah. Yes.
You know, so if we're saying 1 in 4 Black men will get prostate cancer, how is it you're going to these centers and only seeing one other Black? And it might be a case of, you know, other Black men are coming in at different times. You know what I mean? You know, but you'd kind of think by law of averages, you'd see more. You know, I mean, I was going to, when I got diagnosed back in 2015, I was being treated in a cancer center in London because I went on a trial. But yeah, in regards to similar to yourself, Garvin, you know, when you think about those figures, the times that I'd be there, and as I said, I'd be having chemo and treatment for, you know, hours on end, and there'd be 2 or 3 other that goes in there, you know what I mean? So, you know, is it a case of we are at that stage, early stage, but we're not getting screening, we're not being screened, or we're not going for our screening test or the like, and then it's almost too late. So you won't be seeing them at the treatment center, you'll be seeing them in the hospital bed, you know, at the later stages. Do you know what I mean?
So was you one of those ones, like many of us, that recognize certain symptoms or something's up and you kept putting it off until
not putting it off? Do you know what happened to me is I am a qualified personal trainer and fitness instructor.
Right.
And at that time I was still living in London. I hadn't moved up with my one now wife and the kids yet. So I was teaching. I had my clients, I had my personal training clients, I was teaching fitness class, I was teaching like 5 or 6 classes a week, you know, and I began to notice that you know, something's not right. You know what I mean? I feel, you know, I couldn't do a squat. I couldn't do, you know what I mean? I thought, you know, something's not right. And especially if you guys, you know, anyone who does exercise or anything, you know your own body, don't you? You know what I mean? And I was going to my GP and saying, you know, something's not right, you know? And he was saying, oh, well, you might have strength. I said, no, I would know if I, you know, I was weight training at the time. And I said, no, I would know if I did a bench press and, you know what I mean, it pulled something, or I, you know, I did squats and I pulled something. I would know. Do you know what I mean? Because that's my business. Do you know what I mean? And I kept going back to my GP and saying, you know, something's not right. And he was kind of brushing me off, but I suppose because he thought of my age, because people my age don't normally get myeloma. And because of, he knew that I was, you know, doing this kind of fitness thing, he thought it might be down to that, you know. But when I kept going back, because it began to affect my business, you know, I mean, I had my 9-to-5 job, but I was doing my personal training and that outside of it as well. And it began to affect my business because I was doing some classes and I couldn't do some exercises. So suddenly, because I had some regulars, I'd have to say, okay, when it comes to that exercise, could you show them how to do it? You know? So it's only because by my persistence and going back.
You affected you on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so it affected me on a day-to-day basis, you know, but only because I had that kind of wherewithal to kind of notice something, and that persistence as well to kind of keep going back and saying, you know, something's not right. Do you know what I mean? And you know, eventually, and it's only because, I mean, my first specialist nurse that I worked with, she would always say, it's only because of your fitness at the time, because I was probably at the peak of my fitness then, that I managed to get through. Because as I said, you know, the first nurse I met after I got diagnosed was a palliative care nurse. You know, they were counting down for me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's only because of my, I don't know, physical strength, inner strength. You know, I just become a dad. My daughter was 8 months old. You know, and I was saying, you know, no, can't stop here. You know what I mean? I'm gonna walk my daughter down the aisle. You know what I mean? You know, so it's only by that kind of determination that and that's straight. Yeah, that I kind of, you know, and I wasn't gonna sit there and look at all the stats and it's gonna end in 5 years. You know what I mean? You know, that's not me. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I stayed motivated, and you know, if I could only do that, you know, I did that. You know, I couldn't lift weights, but you know, if I could take a resistance band and do it, you know, 10 times every morning, that's what I'd do. Do you know what I mean? You know.
So do you think there's anything? I'm talking a lot. If anyone's got any questions, then you can talk. But if not, I'll go on. But so when it comes these statistics, because you know, I'm kind of on Black side with a bit of the with a bit of the suspicion of why, you know, our cancer rate is so high within the Black community. Do you think that there's anything nefarious going on, anything dodgy going on, or do you think it's just down to our ignorance, you know, us not taking, you know, life serious, you know, and these reasons why it's so high for us? Because when it comes, sorry before you answer, because when it comes to prostate cancer, you know, why is it 1 in 4 Black men get prostate cancer? What are they trying to say? We're more sexually active than anybody else, or what?
No, and I mean, that is something that always kind of I myself have kind of questioned that, and I know that I mentioned one of the people that I'm kind of in contact with, you know, and I think that's one of the things they're kind of looking into. I received a document a few weeks ago that is kind of they're doing research looking into that, because, you know, that would have to be, in my opinion, would have to be something genetic. You know, there's nothing to say that, you know, even though we might think that we are, there's nothing to say that we're more kind of sexually active than any other, you know, ethnicity. Do you know what I mean? So, but you're absolutely right, Marvin. There must be something in there, and I know that there is research kind of going on to kind of look into that. The kind of genetics of it. I received it just a few weeks ago, so maybe that's something I could share with you guys another time. But again, that's something that, which is why I'm trying to form this support group, prostate support group, because that's something that we need to kind of talk about. You know, the why is not that it's relevant. I mean, but it's there. You know what I mean? So, you know, okay, this is the fact. This is what's happening. 1 in 4. So, all right, we know that it's there. So what do we start doing now? Do we start, you know, making sure that we are attending more screenings and attending, you know what I mean, and getting more active in our own kind of, you know, kind of treatment. Do you know what I mean? You know, we can't just keep waiting until it's too far down the road. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry to jump in.
No, go.
Yeah, is it a case of even some of the foods that we like to eat? Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
you know, I mean, I read a book many years ago that kind of looked at, you know, how some of these things kind of come about, and if you think about us in a society, you know, and kind of take the specific of Black men or Black people out of it, you know what I mean? But just look as a society where, you know, they did some research in Australia where they looked at they took some indigenous people from Australia and brought them to the city, you know, so they'd been living in the outback or whatever it was in their indigenous environment all their lives, you know, and then they brought them to the city in Australia. I think it was Brisbane or Sydney or one of those, and within 2 months, 3 months, they'd picked up certain, you know, colds and that's really other, you know, when they put them back in there, when they went back to their environment, all that stuff was gone. So is it because now that we're living in a industrial, you know, we've been sat here for the last, you know, hour and a half with, you know, a computer, and that's again not just down to that, that's us in general. Do you know what I mean? You know, so when we talk about our foods, yeah, even if we are eating natural, we're still buying it from the supermarket. You know, we're not, you know, literally we don't have, I don't have an orange tree as much as I love orange juice. You know, I don't have an orange tree that I'd, you know, happily go out and, you know, pick my oranges and squeeze my orange juice myself. I mean, I was born here, but I went to Barbados when I was, you know, 9 years old to go to school. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I had a mango tree, and I'd happily go out and, you know, every morning when I, you know, when I want my mangoes or whatever, or I'd hear the mangoes hit the roof and, you know, go out and catch it and eat my, you know, literally as it fell out the sea, so it fell out the tree, and within,
Naturally.
you know, 2 minutes I'm eating it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Naturally.
Can't get more, natural.
Look, the food's tampered with. You know, we're 70% water, our bodies. You know, yet still there's statistics to say that only 2% of the waterways of the UK is unpolluted. So the water's polluted, the food's polluted, the air's polluted.
Yeah,
it's something you have to look at.
Then is it our genetics now, according to our genetics, that make these pollutants and gases and chemicals affect us the most?
Yeah, and that's the thing. So I mean, these are the realities, and you know what you stated there are kind of facts. So what do we have to look at? Do we have to look at how we monitor because it'd be hard to kind of avoid drinking water. It's hard to kind of avoid, you know, eating fruit, even if if we're buying fruit, it's hard to kind of that we're buying it from the supermarket or the, you know, the down the market store. You know what I mean? So we have to eat. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it's hard to kind of avoid it unless we kind of grow it ourselves, and even then, do you know what I mean? So, you know, we're growing it in soil that's, you know, not kind of natural, you know what I mean? So, and rain, you know, rain that's pouring, that's acidic rain. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it's hard to kind of avoid it. So do we now need to think about how we monitor our progress, so we can see the symptoms and spot the symptoms and not be afraid to kind of, you know, go to the GPs and the like. I think Sydney, I saw Sydney.
Yes, Sydney had a question.
Apologize. Yeah.
Sydney, you there? Oh, he said he has to go.
Oh, okay. All right.
He has to go.
Sorry.
All right, Blaps, you got a question? You're on mute, Blaps.
What's up? Seems like quite obvious that
Hold on, you're buzzing.
if we were in Jamaica, we would look at the statistics over there. Why are we getting the same amount of prostate cases over in Jamaica in black people?
I didn't catch all of that. Your mic's kind of dipping in and out.
If we look at our people in an indigenous country like Africa or Jamaica, see the same amount, 1 in 4 in Jamaica.
I can't specifically say that. I mean, I don't know whether that's a UK statistic or a black men in general statistic. So that is something that I could kind of look into. But yeah, I mean,
it's a factor.
Say again.
It shows that the environment is a factor. If you find out, I mean, talk about Japan, for instance. They regularly live to centurion, you know, 100 years old. It's the most populated place for 100-year-olds in the world.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I know that. I mean, my father worked here. He was part of the Windrush generation. He went back to Barbados. My father's 96. He's going to 97. You know, his brother lived to 100, nearly 101.
Yeah,
you know,
my grandma lived to 102.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So, but that's when he retired and went back to Barbados. He went back in 1990 or 92, something like that. So, yeah, you know what I mean. So, you know, is that something to be said for you know, living in that environment? We don't know, because obviously they're still kind of cancer cases.
Got their old ways. They're fixed in their ways. Mummy taught me how to cook this, move this up. She took that plant and this. They don't deal with the process business.
They don't. Well, they don't.
When a country, they the same thing like Japanese people when they come to England, Chinese people when they come to England, they eat their food.
Yeah.
But blacks, considering, look, Andrew said, sorry, bro.
If we're eating these foods from our country, we should be cool.
Connections buzzing still.
If we go to another country and start there, the same food that we get from the others, and now we're getting a burst of prostate cancer among us. Obviously, the environment we've moved into that's causing it.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, the causes and you know the roots of these issues, it's going to be an ongoing debate from now to the end of time. Do you know what I mean? You know, and there has to be appreciate that there has to be a team or research into that, but at the same time, you know, it's here. You know what I mean? And we can't kind of ignore it, and we can't kind of. So what do we do about what's in the here and now, and how do we deal with kind of the here and now?
Yeah.
You know.
Basically these like the Macmillan Cancer Group and all of these other cancer organizations or whatever, it's like they basically survive off of our lack of knowledge, maybe even lack of care for ourselves and lack of discipline. Because look, you were saying about Luton being one of the highest, one of the highest cancer rates. But then when you look in Luton's community, the amount of fast food is swamped. For the size of it, is swamped.
It is.
With fast food. Obviously, we have the airport right there. We can add that in, but it's swamped with fast food. So to be honest, according to my knowledge, we're supposed to be alkaline based, 7.365 alkaline. Yeah. When my mum had cancer, I looked at her piss and knew she was acidic. Yeah. And it was 5 acid. Now, if you know cancer and viruses and bacteria can only thrive and multiply in a body that is acidic. If a body is alkaline, no virus, bacteria can survive in your body. Cancer cells don't get fed with alkaline. Do you understand? So again, maybe the lack of awareness about all of this fast food and all of that within the community, you know, to make us know, you know, it's not healthy. But then a lot of us do know that it's not healthy already. We know, we've heard that McDonald's cures cancers. Well, it's processed food. We've heard that it can can give you cancer. You understand? There's a site I looked at that said that there's chemical companies that give McDonald's and a lot of these fast food outlets chemicals to put into their food for free, because they know on the back end of it, they're going to make money from us because we've become sick. So, you know, medical care and pharmaceuticals, they're going to make loads of money out of. So, get to the bottom of this, because this is going to stop these companies from making a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, you can
what is good for us and what's not good for us. As black people now, our genetics, according to our supposed to eat, but then who knows. But even if you know, a lot of them are still doing it. But everybody's doing it, isn't it? Because the rate that you said is in the cancer in Luton is probably every race. It's not just black people. Yeah. It's every race. So it's showing you that the fast food and the food that's in the cans and the boxes and the tins and packeted and preserved, and it's not good for you. It's not good for anybody.
And with things like that, Marvin, and that's why projects like this and my aim for this project and what I'm thinking about, you know, my plans for this project for the next couple of years, it's twofold. Because for one, you got to deal with reality. Now, we know that, you know, you and I could talk about it, and we could talk about it with everyone on this group, and we could go out and talk about that, you know, and people know, you know, about what fast foods, fast food like, what processed food is like. But the reality is, you're not going to stop your. I mean, I'm a father, and I'm in a group that I can't stop my 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, for wanting to go to McDonald's. Do you know what I mean? That's the reality of it. So that's the first thing we're aware. But what do we do then to put things and make sure that, heaven forbid, those things come up, that we've got a support network and awareness of what to do if you see symptoms, what to do if you speak to your GP. Those are the things. That's the awareness that we need to start kind of putting in place. Because as frustrating as it might be, and as much as you and I might stand at the top of the the town hall, and try and shout to everyone with Luton about thinking about these things. The reality is, they're going to listen, and then they're still going to turn around and walk into McDonald's and buy a burger. You know what I mean? That's the reality. That's right. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
So okay, for those who will listen to what you said, they think, oh, well, actually, you know what? I need to start thinking about my diet and the like. Fantastic. For the others who kind of think, okay, well, yeah, I hear you, but I still want my burger at lunchtime. You know what I mean? Yeah. What have we got in place? Should anything
promote a healthy eating day once a week or once a month, alkaline?
Yeah, that's and what does that look like, and how would that, you know what I mean? So do we need to? Is that something that when Jennifer speaks to you, is that something that we need to consider? Is that something that we need to kind of get a grant for to maybe have a weekly event where you know what I mean? We
yeah, but in my mum's case of her having cancer until she passed, like I said, I recognized that her pee was acidic. It was 5-acid. And like I said it earlier before the recording, that I said to them, okay, now you know that my mum is acid. Yeah. What have you got to give her that is alkaline? Because only alkaline is going to reverse this. It's going to starve the cancer cells. Cancer cells don't feed off of alkaline. So one of the nurses said, we don't have anything in the hospital that is alkaline. So they're only relying on chemo and synthetic drugs when it actually states that chemotherapy has a 2% cure rate. Synthetic drugs is also toxic, which means it's acidic also. So they're only relying on whatever to hopefully target that area of wherever that tumor or the cancer is, but your body's still left in acidic and an acidic state where the biopsy now rips open the tumor. You understand? And then they take out some of the tumor which has got some of the cancer cells in it, but they've burst open the tumor and not taken the whole tumor nor the cancer cells. So those cancer cells now are left to roam in a body which is acidic. The tumor was the body's way of protecting itself. It gets all of the cancer cells of the body, it puts it into a tumor and it lodges it somewhere in its own somewhere in the body, which is this defense mechanism. And then when they do the biopsy and rip it open, now you've let the cancer cells float around a body which is acidic, which is the perfect environment for these cells now to thrive and multiply. So how is it going to work? These projects are there for once. Obviously, you've got cancer. Obviously, once you get it, if you get it, it's caught at an early stage, hopefully. But as we say, many people get caught at higher stages of cancer, and it's really only downward for them, isn't it?
Okay, so and that's all well and good. So I will then turn the question to you then, Marvin. So in that case then, are we, sorry, Blaze, I'm coming to you. So are we then doing what we need to do in regards to, are we going for our screening test? Are we, are we going for going to our GP and getting our
we need to step that up. We need to step that up. We need to hold that as more as a step that we must take, hold it as a top priority, especially the higher up we are in age.
Yes,
we've got to start looking at that as an important step to take.
Yeah, and the thing as well is, and I know Blacks is kind of waiting, but I just want to say something in regards to that age thing as well. That's something that I personally believe that we really need to start kind of thinking about, because if we're thinking about the cases are increasing, it's only natural that, I mean, as I said, I was diagnosed at 45. Do you know what I mean? And the reason that they took a while to kind of find it is because people my age don't normally get that. It's normally associated with people who are older. Do you know what I mean? But my belief is that the age for all of these cancers is going to start coming down. The average for prostate is, you know, the test from 45 upwards. Do you know what I mean? But the age is going to start coming down. You're going to start seeing, you know, people in their 30s, people in their 20s. You know what I mean? You know, with the same sort of cancers that are normally associated with people. You know, as it goes on, it's only, you know, it's only a matter of time. But sorry, I think Blacks wanted to say.
All right, this is the last one. Then we're going to wrap it up after this. Go ahead, Blacks. And you're still buzzing.
Oh, it's based on the Macmillan Cancer Trust. Yeah, is that correct?
So say again.
Macmillan Cancer Care Trust.
It's Macmillan Cancer Support.
Cancer Support. Right.
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing in that title that says we're going to prevent you getting cancer. Our job is to make sure that once you got it. So if you're talking about pharmaceuticals, and they're putting it in our fast foods because an easy way to do it, the poorest people are going to get the most cancer. The poorest people out there, the people that cannot get fresh fruit and non-processed,
can't afford organic and that.
And then they're going to get into the Cancer Care Trust because they're going to get taken care of. I think all these cancer people, all these cancer companies that deal with cancer care are doing a great job. They comfortable. That's great.
I hear you properly, Blacks.
Comfortable until you die. That's fine. Okay, and at the end of it, you've got the churches giving a great funeral service and talking about God, right? But when what's preventing it, there's nothing there. So if we all know, if we've just all worked it out in this today, in this group today, that the pharmaceutical people are putting the stuff in our foods. You know what I mean? I always made the joke when I was a teenager, if they wanted to kill black people, if the white supremacists wanted to kill black people, they'd poison our chicken and our watermelon. It was a joke. But they, you know, there's their modus operandi to kill off black people. They're going to get. So if we don't,
did say that earlier, didn't he? Is it nefarious?
What I'm saying, it's like if you're going to help our community, I think it would be through information, giving information to prevent using your gambling.
And that's exactly it, and that's exactly what I mean, and that's what, you know, as Jennifer was saying at the beginning, you know, and hopefully when she comes back, you know, this is what we want to hear, you know. So do we need to put something in place? Do we need to put a program in place that looks at prevention rather than cure? Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, most of the programs will be about, as you said, and to be fair, you know, because I've, you know, I've been treated and worked closely with Macmillan over the last couple of years since I've been diagnosed, you know, and beyond. And yes, they do have talks and information about prevention as well. So, but is that something that a Luton resident is aware of? And if not, do we need to kind of, you know, increase that kind of awareness and maybe put some events that do kind of give that kind of awareness? So that's exactly the sort of feedback that we need to hear from groups such as this and from people such as yourself about what we need to kind of put in place to fit this particular community.
Okay. Just before you finish up, Dudley says, can we demand a check for any type of cancer?
If you go to your GP and you think you have symptoms, you know, I think, you know, you've got to think about how the NHS is the NHS and how it kind of works. So, you know, to just go in there and say, you know, I just want to be checked for every type of cancer, you know, might not get you, you know, seen as, you know, but if you are, and this is what I mean about, if you are aware of what the symptoms are of certain cancers. I mean, prostate is always kind of, because there are no specific symptoms for prostate, but if you know your body better than anyone, you know, it doesn't matter what you do in life, you know your body, you know, if you wake up and, you know, oh, that's not right, or something, oh, that, you know what I mean, or something don't feel right there. If you spot something or something doesn't feel right, you know, yes, you go to your GP and you kind of discuss it. You know, it might be, you know, it might be nothing, you know, heaven forbid, it might, you know, if it is something that is a bit more, that needs a bit more kind of investigation, but you're going with symptoms rather than just saying, I just want to be checked for every, you know, to make sure that I don't have every. But if that is your mindset, then that's where the screening comes into it. Go and get your screening checked. You know what I mean? Go and get your, you know,
because they say women get screened at a certain age every couple of years, don't they?
Yeah, and yeah, men as well. After, you know, I think I've just reached that kind of bracket. But yeah, and because of my, you know, my condition as well, you know, I'm kind of in that vulnerable stage where, you know, I do get, you know, offers for checks a bit more regularly. But yeah, but even that, we're looking at maybe kind of bringing that down to, I think it's 45 at the moment. But for things like kind of prostate and bowel, I think that needs to kind of come down.
So they do that for men then, prostate and bowel.
Yeah, but
regular.
But what I'm saying, but when you're talking about the figures,
it's like they got a recommended age, haven't they, for prostate?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So right. if you're younger than that, then you've got to think about, you know, doing your PSA test, which is a prostate test at home, or as I said, if you are going to your GP with a genuine, you know, I'm feeling a bit short of breath, or I'm, you know,
chipper, mate.
Yeah, I've got, you know what I mean? Something's, you know, I'm not feeling 100%, you know, but do we go to our GP? Do we feel comfortable going to our GP, you know, or is it in our mindset that, you know, oh, just get on with it, you know what I mean? Just man up and kind of crack on with it, you know what I mean? You know, what you're complaining about, you know, that's the mindset that we have to kind of consider, you know, and we leave it, and then, or do we leave it till it's too late, you know?
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Andrew, for spending your time with us this evening.
Thank you so much. And I really do, just say, you know, I really do hope that, you know, we've given you an idea of the work that we want to do with groups such as this going forward. I know Jennifer will be in touch with you guys, and hopefully she'll be able to kind of come back and have a more specific kind of listening event with you guys and start to get some feedback. And just to say again, and I know I keep emphasizing this throughout, but please see this as an opportunity, you know, to kind of get involved and put some, you know, real solid foundations in place to improve kind of cancer services for Black men, for the Black community, for communities, the lesser heard communities in Luton. It's a real opportunity, and when I say that, you know, I've literally got an open book that is, you know, ready to kind of receive feedback and ideas, and, you know, I hear them, I write them up, and then we see what we can put in place. You know what I mean? And you know, all your names could be in some kind of amazing legacy in years to come. You know, and it could start from here. You know, and I'm not just going to say that to kind of blow smoke up anyone. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is a real opportunity to kind of put some real foundations in place. So just think about that. The guys have my contact. You got my email. If anyone wants to kind of speak more about it, let me know. And as I said, hopefully Jennifer will come back in a not too distant future, and you know, really have an event where we just hear your views and hear your ideas and suggestions.
All right, you can mention your Facebook or your...
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I think if you just put Andrew Murrell, Macmillan Project Manager, then you find me on LinkedIn. I'm not 100% tech savvy, so I'm not on Facebook as of yet. So I'm kind of using LinkedIn. And again, LinkedIn is a bit more kind of business-like as well. So, you know, so yeah, but you've got my email address. So guys, if you can just kind of post my email address to everyone, yeah, just get in touch.
Right.
And yeah, I'll happily speak to anyone and, you know, hear your views and ideas. And as I said, you know, hopefully we'll come back in not too distant future and speak at something a bit more specific, hold an actual kind of listening event where we hear your experiences on cancer.
Again, thank you for your time, Andrew.
Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks when I come and join on, you know, one of the other events, you know what I mean? So, yeah, you know, I really enjoy it. Yeah. All right. So thanks very much, guys. And I'll see you all soon. Yeah. Thank you.